Hello everyone, kia ora koutou. Welcome to Monday, April 11th. Tonight we have 3 guests. Sport rotten, yes we are. Okay, tonight we have Michael Frampton. He is host of the long-running Surf Mastery podcast. We're going to be talking surfing and his work and parenting, but also grief and how that changed his life and his experience. He might have a few life hacks for us and a healthy peppering of humour. We're also going to welcome a little bit along the way, about 10 past 9, we're going to ask Finn from Wellington to Wharimā. He's going to be joining us and give us some great input on peer support and mental health and wellness. And then later on, we've got Bevan. He's joining us from Aussie. Awesome musician, and he also has a little story to share with us as well. So let's just go straight to Michael and let's go. Hello. How are you, Michael?
Good evening. I'm great, Selenya. How are you?
Good. Thank you for joining us tonight on the show. It's a really great honour to have you here. You're in the Hawke's Bay.
I am at the moment, yes.
Oh, lovely. Sunny?
It was today. Beautiful day today. Yes, cloudless sky, 22 degrees.
Oh, very pleasant. Yeah, and how were the waves?
Oh, I didn't surf today, so I'm not sure. I try not to look if I don't get the opportunity to go.
Yeah. So, gosh, we just met recently, and you told me a story, and it was pretty phenomenal, and there's some funny bits in there, but also some really sad bits as well. So, I think you're a strong guy. You've got a good story to share with us, and you may inspire other people to maybe join us in the chat. And it's a pretty serious one, isn't it, tonight, mostly?
It can feel like that sometimes. Like you alluded to, I think, your life can be a mixture of comedy and tragedy.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, I mean, this grief affects everyone differently. It depends what it is. I mean, it could be a sudden death of a relative. It could be a relative going to prison. It could be the suicide of a friend. It could be anything. And even like a divorce or a separation, there's many forms of grief. And I think mental health is very important, and people shouldn't hide away and withdraw. And we're going to touch on that aspect of it with Finn in a few minutes. But why don't you just tell us about why and when you moved to Malibu? Go.
So, I was living in Sydney, or moved away from New Zealand like 17 years ago, and then ended up in Sydney in 2016, 2017, and my wife's business at the time was doing very well, and we decided to take that business to America, and we ended up moving. When I say the business was doing very well, it was, and we ended up moving to Point Dume in Malibu, California. And she was the main breadwinner, and I was the stay-at-home dad. We had 3 young kids at the time, and whilst the kids were sort of at daycare and at school, I was surf coaching, and continuing the Surf Mastery podcast, which I started back in 2016. That's the basic outlay of the story, how we ended up in Malibu.
Okay. And so the kids were all pretty young then, and they started school there?
They did. My eldest, who's 10 now, he was already in school in Sydney. He was at a Montessori and on the northern beaches there. But we went straight into the primary school in Malibu, and then the other 2 younger ones, once they were old enough, were into daycare, and they start, well, they even, the daycare over in America, they start learning pretty early.
Yeah.
So all of my kids, by the time they were 4, were all reading, and
Wow.
America's a very different school system over there.
Yeah, it is. And it's just got such a massive population, and yeah, things are kind of done on a different scale, and there's just so many resources, and yeah.
It
So,
sure is, yeah. People love their jobs over there, and there's so many. You're right, especially when you live in a place like Malibu, you end up getting the best of the best that are
yeah,
attracted to there. And we were living a blessed life. We also had a live-in nanny who was helping out with the kids as well. We'd have a cleaner that would come around. So it had a lot of, and outside of when the kids were looked after, there was a lot of free time. So it was a very blessed life over there.
yeah, nice. And so just life's going really well, and everyone's busy, and you stay-at-home dad, so you would have been super busy. Yeah, and what happened?
Well, this time last year, on April the 3rd, 2021, my wife passed away suddenly, unexpectedly. And because we were there on her, essentially the visas that we had to be in the country were associated with her job. So the day she died, we lost our visas. We essentially lost everything. And the government gave us 60 days to leave the country. And of course, there was lockdown. I remember sitting online. It took me 4 days of just refreshing the page on Air New Zealand website and the isolation website. You had to line them up. It literally took 4 days to book a flight that we only just got out of the country in time to avoid prosecution. It was a high drama. So essentially had to come back to New Zealand, live in my sister's bedroom for a few months because there was no houses available.
Yeah.
So I was literally in a bedroom with my 3 traumatized, grieving kids in my sister's bedroom, and yeah, that was a rough time of life.
Yeah, it sounds very, very hectic. Yeah, just and that threat of prosecution because you're on someone else's visa in a foreign country. Yeah, it would have been very, very stressful. Yeah, and did you
Yeah,
have
no,
enough support when you came back here? Do you think?
from my family, yes. Yeah, from the New Zealand government, no.
Okay.
Yeah, but my family was there. I got a sister and a mother, or 2 sisters and a mother here. My dad wasn't too far away as well. So, yeah, they made sure we were looked after as best they could.
Yeah.
But yeah, it certainly was a stark contrast to living the life we were in Malibu.
Yeah.
So that was, for me, I grew up here in New Zealand, but for the kids, that was all they knew. Essentially they were, Malibu spoiled brats, and they had to come back to New Zealand and live with my white trash family in the country and start a new school and so.
Why did he say white trash?
Oh, I don't know. I grew up on a dairy farm. Essentially a dysfunctional family, really. I mean, if I'm honest, my parents they had a rough time when we were kids, but they stayed together for us, and then they split up when we were a bit older. And you don't realize that until you sort of. I mean, I was lucky enough in Malibu and in America to go through therapy and things, so you kind of discover all this sort of stuff later on. So I guess in hindsight, just a bit of tongue in cheek, really. My family have been really supportive and great, and my parents have moved on and stuff. But yeah, that was essentially my past.
Yeah. And how has the transition been, like after Christmas and New Year's and all that? Was so
Oh yeah,
you're happy in your current work, and you're staying busy enough now?
yeah. So we ended up, finding our own place, and I'm continuing my podcast, and so there's not much. I'm living in a little town called Waipukara, and there's
Yep.
certainly no demand for surf coaches here. So I'm just transitioning my work into online, keeping the podcast going. Designing an online course. So
No, you sound really
just trying to get
motivated.
everything online, really. Which
Yeah.
yeah. It's almost
Nice.
once you've tasted the cream, it's hard to. You're so much more motivated to go back. Once you've lived the good life,
Yeah.
and you realize how good it can be, it's very motivated to
Yeah.
get back there.
Yeah, good. That's the spirit. That's the spirit.
Yeah.
Great attitude. Just gonna have a chat with Finny boy. There we go. Finn, he works at here we go. 3, 2, 1. Te whare mā, Finn from
Hello.
Wellington. Hi there.
Bevan.
Yeah, so I guess you want to know a little bit about Te Whare Mā, the White House.
Yes, please.
Okay, so the White House started about 30 years ago. We also used the dual name Te Whare Mā just because it started off as a building that was white, and it was a consumer-led initiative to have space away from clinicians. And that was about 30 years ago with, historical issues of abuse in state care. And so it was kind of respite from clinicians. But now we're opening up our doors to the greater community and also to some clinicians. We now have a clinical psychologist working with us. And definitely, yeah, some people come from all different backgrounds. That's the thing. The mental illness doesn't discriminate. 1 in 5 people are affected at some time in their life. So giving people a sense of a purpose to get up in the morning, to be part of a community is really helpful, and activities, which we're providing a lot more of now, because we don't want people sitting around dwelling on too much. We want people to be active and feel better leaving the service, hopefully, than when they arrived. Yeah.
Is that a free service?
Yeah, so you can get a referral from simply a GP or a psychiatrist. Doesn't have to be.
Great. That's fully funded, and
Yeah, we get most of our funding from the DHB, and we also apply for community funding and various other ones, which I won't specify at the moment.
no worries.
And some just nice benefactors. Yeah.
So you have just try to imagine what this house is like. The White House, they call it. Is that the other term for it?
Yeah, and we joke about having a coffee with Barack Obama when he was in vogue, and we're well aware of the connection with the other White House in Auckland. But that's another show.
And so you have like a big lounge with lots of couches and chairs,
Yeah,
and tea and
we
coffee
have-
and stuff.
Yeah, tea, coffee, they're all the regular things, meetings. So I'm part of the management committee, which is more to do with day-to-day running and policy and procedure type issues. And I'm also a member of the governance committee, which is more long-term plans and financial issues.
You mentioned
Okay.
exercise. Is that a big part of people's recovery?
Yeah, so we're providing movement classes, organized walks, trips to other associate organizations. We also refer people to other clinicians, not that we are at a clinical level. But we can help listen to people as a peer, because that's the thing with so that's the thing with peer support, is not trying to intimidate like the perspective so much people feel intimidated by doctors, especially psychiatrists. So we're there to share their journey with them and help them arrive at their own destination nice and slowly and gently.
What is, you mentioned the motivation to get out of bed. What do you do if someone just doesn't want to get out of bed?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, obviously, you don't want to pester them too much, but you also want to encourage them. So we send out texts to remind people of activities, and we also appreciate that some days you just don't want to go to work or do anything, and we appreciate that that kaupapa, because we are meant to be sympathetic to these issues in this line of work. Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine a decent amount of sleep and just chilling and relaxing is a big part of recovery as well.
That's right, especially some medication that can limit your activity so much. And also trauma and what you talked about, grief. It's a process, and ultimately acceptance is at the end. But when you're in those feelings, it's a problem shared is a problem halved, and being part of a community is a great way to build up your psyche again.
Yeah, having people around. I mean, I had no luxury of sleeping in after my grief and trauma. I had 3 mad, spoiled brat Malibu kids that would just wake me up at 5:30 every morning. It was go, go, go. So that literally got me out of bed, and they were my focus.
And living for someone else instead of just yourself, in some ways, when you change your focus of how you feel to caring about other people, then you find yourself picking yourself up and carrying on a lot easier.
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine being isolated and not getting those texts and not having a knock on the door. Hey, can you get it? That would be the worst, because you just crawl up into a ball and isolate and disappear.
That's right. Yeah. So, and also respecting that we're all on different journeys and we all take different types of medication for all different reasons. And just because, historically, mental health was just shrugged away and kept in a corner. But the more people, celebrities that are coming forward about what we call lived experiences, similar to what you've experienced, that you've gone through it.
Yeah, there's a lot of stigma around mental health. There sure is. Whereas it should really just be treated like any other, physical illness or disease that you might get. There's so much stigma around it, and it becomes, you get embarrassed by it really because of that.
It's like, it's real. It's real though. It's like you're entitled to your emotions.
So we don't do any diagnosis. That's up to psychiatrists. But our job is also to help validate people, because that's a really good motivator to get going and see your peer support workers, that ongoing relationship, because psychiatrists can only spend about 20 minutes every 3 months because they're in high demand. Whereas we have more of an ongoing day-to-day relationship. And the health system in general is becoming more of a multi-tiered, layered system of privacy and sensitivity. Those at the top have got very high access information, but people at the coal face, they have enough information just to have that basic information, just in case there are any issues.
It's hard to deal with the symptoms too of trauma, because it's so. Well, I think one of the main symptoms for me and my kids was they've just, myself included, and them, just complete assholes. Like, we were just so negative and ungrateful for everything because of what we'd been through, and that was hard for my sister to deal with, I think, but they did well.
Yeah, kids can have no filter, and they can be quite harsh, and that it makes you feel sort of like unwanted, and nothing's good enough for this little kid. It's just like, come on, dude. And then they can be like just super lovey-dovey with you, and you're the best parent in the world, and yes, it's there's so much to learn. And they're growing up in a tough time too. But we're gonna bring in Bevan. You guys stay right there. I'm just gonna give me old mate Bevan Spiers a bit of an intro. We met years ago. We were both, the whole group of us, probably mild alcoholic teens. Sorry, but it's kind of true. Bevan was a local celebrity, shockingly talented guitarist. He can sing as well. I had just moved back from Australia and was a little bit annoyed to be kind of like you, Michael, moving back to New Zealand after a beautiful sunny country, and met these bunch of people, including Bevan, and his music just really inspired us. So he's also got a little story to share with us. Welcome, Bevan Spiers. Oh, audio. The audio. Oh no, we've got no audio. Unclick.
Shall I pretend to be Bevan? Hi, I'm
Yes,
Bevan.
yeah. He might have to go on another
I have a cool
browser.
hat.
Yeah.
We can't hear you, Bevan.
Audio.
That's
Okay.
my guitar amp on my left shoulder. Yeah, I like playing guitar. Oh, I have a sign too. Yes, I came prepared for no audio. You might notice the spelling of my name. It's not like the spear you throw. No relation to Brittany, I'm assuming.
Okay, Michael, you just keep chatting.
I'm running out of material.
No, this has happened to thousands of guests we've had over the last 6-7 months.
Technology, it's only good when it works.
Yeah. Anyway, you right there, Finn? You good?
Yeah, hi.
Okay, do you have to get up early tomorrow?
I've got a meeting in the morning. Yeah, I might sign off. I've had a long day.
Yeah, it's been a long day for me too, but thanks for your
Thanks for
commentary.
having me on the show.
Supporting grieving people.
Yeah, makes a huge difference.
I hope you reach the end of your process with peace and love. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Cool. See ya.
Thanks very much, Finn. Take care. Okay, so we've got Bevan here, but the audio, we're not sure if that is going to work. So over to you, Michael. Tell us a little bit more about the podcast.
The podcast, I started it in 2015, I think it was. Yeah, basically when we moved to, I started surfing when I was 17, but when I went to the beach, there was no one else around. So completely self-taught, just watching surfing videos, and then fast forward about 10 years, I ended up living in Sydney, and by this time personal training was my job, and I scored a job at the High Performance Surfing Centre in Sydney, and I was the personal trainer for the surfers in the gym. And my boss was one of the surf coaches for the junior team there, ex-pro himself. And I was, as well as just talking with him and meeting and training all of the semi-pros and pro surfers, and just the level of surfing of just the recreational surfer in that area was so high, and just completely immersed in the surf culture. And I was learning so much about surfing, and I thought, all these conversations that I'm having, I should probably share them, because there's so many people that didn't grow up around this rich surf culture that could just learn from these conversations. So I just and I've always loved radio, and so I just asked him, hey, would you want to be in it? Let me interview you. And he said yes. And then I was training Tom Carroll, 2-time world champ at the time. I was helping him with his knee rehab. and he did my second episode, and then I literally think because Tom had agreed to do one of the first episodes of my podcast, and he's such a big name in the industry, it was easy for me to get other people. I ended up interviewing Pete Evans, who's a celebrity chef. It was quite famous back then, and he was a surfer as well, and it just went on from there.
Have you met Kelly Slater?
I haven't yet.
Okay.
I've been trying to get him, but he's a hard man to pin down.
I follow this guy on Instagram, and he's always posting videos of that somewhere in Portugal.
Eddie Serra? Yeah.
I think so. This massive.
Oh, the Nazare, the big waves.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's
yeah.
Surfing's so diverse. I mean, most people surf waves that are no taller than them, whereas those waves are those guys are nuts, basically.
They are. I'd rather be a spectator.
Yes.
There's lots of photographers, and it looks like a very exciting tourist spot to go. And but yeah, he just shares lots of other beautiful photos. I think he's based in Hawaii with his family. Have you been to Hawaii and surfed there?
I have, yes. Stayed on Kauai, actually, one of the smaller islands. Got some family there, and Hawaii's beautiful. Reminded me a lot of New Zealand, actually. Especially
sort of lush,
like Northland. Hawaii reminded me a lot of Northland.
Oh yeah,
just untouched, just semi-tropical, beautiful. Yeah, no, I love Hawaii, and I mean the best waves in the world in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Have you surfed yourself?
Oh yeah, of course. I've surfed the North Shore of Hawaii, man. No, just kidding. And I've heard that's like a really key place to go. The only places I've surfed is Humatangi Beach. Years and years and years ago.
I grew up surfing there.
Yeah, that's where I kind of learnt the basics. And then, you grew up there?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, the first time I went surfing was at South Beach, Wanganui. Harvey Bowling.
Right.
It pushed me into a wave. And then I was instantly addicted to surfing, and then ended up living in Palmerston North studying photography, and we would drive out to Himatangi and Foxton whenever we could and surf those sad waves out there because it was the closest.
We lived on the beach. There was 4 of us, and it was a flat situation, and just a humble little home, but it was just walked out the sliding door, over the back lawn, over the dune, and you're on the beach.
Wow.
Amazing. It's so expensive now.
It would. Yeah, times have changed.
But the other place actually had a lesson, and the instructor said, you got good trim. Like, oh yeah.
All right, well, that stuck with you.
Yeah, so it must be good trim. I don't know if
Like, did you have bangs at the time?
I don't know. It's just maybe it means like good flow. Maybe
in surfing, trim means that you matched the speed of the wave well.
Oh wow, that's good to know.
You were at one with Mother Nature.
Wow.
In the zone, feeling the flow. You're trimming.
Yeah, because it's kind of like something that you really want to do. When you're younger and you dream about it, think about it all the time. I really want to go snowboarding, and you just think about it, and you're like, oh wow, I just had a dream about snowboarding. I was really good at it. And then when those sort of things come into fruition, it's like
surfing is cool. You're very immersed in nature.
Yeah, and you're in a zone, right? And you're a part of a bit of a tribe, bit of a different community. Yes,
it can be. Yep. Tribe is a good way to put it. Surfing culture is a strange one, though. It's very... there's lots of different subgroups within surfing. So the big wave surfers in Nazare, for example, they're a very small group of people who like to do that kind of surfing. There's maybe, I don't know, maybe less than 100 people in the world that can even able to do it. They've actually done brain scans of big wave surfers, and they have just as much head trauma as professional American football athletes. So it's there's very few people that can withstand those sort of regular beatdowns.
Conditions, because what happens when they wipe out? Like,
it's incredibly violent. Like, I've surfed waves like what you call triple overhead. So maybe you'd call it like a 20-foot wave, whereas the waves in Nazare are 100 foot. But I can tell you my experience of surfing a 20-foot wave is when you fall off, it's like hitting the water. The water's like hitting concrete. It hurts. And then when you go under and you get thrown around, it literally feels like you're in a giant washing machine and you have 1,000 people trying to pull your arms off your body. So you just sort of try and hold yourself into a ball and hold yourself together. And of course it's cold and you can't breathe and you're scared that your surfboard might hit you. And then you come up and you paddle back out and you try and do it all again. It's mad.
Yeah, that is. It just sounds crazy and very traumatic. And have people died doing that?
Oh, people die all the time, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And it is traumatic, though, because I remember the first time I surfed waves of that magnitude, I'd done a lot of training beforehand to get there. And on the day, your adrenaline's just your heart's just racing, the adrenaline's pumping, and you're feeling all those feelings that I described, but you don't realize how violent it was until the next day. I remember waking up the next day and I couldn't get out of bed. I was like, I thought I'd been hit by a bus. Every bone and every muscle in my body was sore. I was depressed because the adrenaline and the elation of having experienced that is just, so there's a massive come down. It's almost like you've been out on the E and you've been hit by a bus and you wake up in the morning going, what is going on? So it's a very, very intense experience surfing big waves.
Wow. And I think when you feel physically flat, your mental health suffers as well, because you're physically tired and therefore your mind's going, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I'm scared, exhausted. So you just really have to recuperate and rejuvenate. So, hey, Bev, you there? You got a sign for us? I told him to write a new sign. Oh,
the mic
sad
working.
face.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Okay. No worries. All good. A fantastic musician. And
originals or session musician or?
Yeah, both, I think.
Both.
Yeah. He's
right.
Ben Harper, who does the low flat and did the special plucking.
Yep.
Yeah, so but he's done cool. Rock, electric, acoustic, blues. Yeah. Okay. He's got another sign. Got another sign? Okay.
Well, if I wasn't in, music is my second love. I should say third. Right?
So do you play an instrument?
I try and play all of them. Mostly guitar, but I played a lot of bass guitar as well, and drums. Trying to learn the drums. Vocals. I was getting vocal lessons in Los Angeles.
Oh, wow.
And just fiddling around on the keyboard a little bit too, but primarily guitar, really. But just
same.
obsessed with music in general, really. Music is amazing.
Yeah. What are you into at the moment? I think you sent me a track that you like. It was not something I would normally listen to, but I found it quite obscure. But then it was sort of because of the pace. I think when someone recommends a song or tells me about a new song, it was more ambient, but that sort of told me to slow down because sometimes life gets too busy and you just get used to the same music that uplifts you. It has a very distinct mood, that album. That song in particular, the album I'm talking about is called Eat the Elephant by A Perfect Circle, and
the title track off that album, which is the first track, is it is kind of obscure, but it's an absolutely beautiful song. And I might even go as far as to say that song was a huge part of my recovery. It's a very inspiring song. Very inspiring. If you listen to the lyrics,
Yep.
Maynard, you probably know him from Tool. He's the singer of A Perfect Circle. He's my favorite singer. And it is a very beautiful, well thought out song.
That's
Eat the
great.
Elephant.
Yeah, because it's pure appreciation, pure appreciation of music and the art and the whole craft. It might have taken months to craft that
Yes.
song.
So the person who wrote that song, he wrote it over a length of years, toing and froing with Maynard, because to get someone like Maynard to write a melody and sing on one of your tracks, he has to really be inspired by it. So he's quite open. If you look at Perfect Circle, they do a lot of interviews, and he's very open with the process. Not Maynard so much, but the guitarist, whose name eludes me now. That album was written over years.
Wow.
The whole album is very, very musical. Yeah, I recommend
Yes.
that. It's one of those albums where you listen to it once, you're like, and then I still listen to it every week, and there was a 2-year period where I would listen to that album at least once a day. It's just one of those albums that just gets better and better the more you listen to it.
Yeah, and
Don't really
it's
get that
speaking
much.
to you, right? It's speaking to you.
Yes.
It's
Definitely.
resonating with you. It's probably sticks in your head like an earworm. The
Yeah.
same song, and then you, like, if you listen to it again, you're going to hear something new, a new layer. I think that's really cool how music can do that.
Indeed.
Because it's like building a muscle. Your ears, in a way, you're building a bit of a muscle in your ears. That sounds weird, but you're educating your ears. So,
Yeah, you're listening on a finer and finer detail, and it's actually very, diving into music and learning more about music has helped me become a better surfer as well.
like
Because
focus.
Tom Carroll, partly, but more so, well, I actually think when you start looking at the details, like for example, if you start looking at the smaller details in a wave when you're surfing, there's little bumps on the surface of the water. There's lots of different swells in the water. You start looking at some more of the details in surfing, you become a better surfer. And the same is true with music. When you start really listening to the details, the difference between a half a step of a note is everything. Now, if you don't know what to listen for or how to listen for it, or you're not trying to listen for it, you're never going to learn it. So first of all, you have to realize it's there and then start listening to it and for it. And then I think as you sort of narrow yourself down into the finer details, that's partly what brings you into the present moment even more. And that's what increases your focus. So it's kind of like a winning circle. And,
So when you first moved back, so you would have needed time to get away from the kids, and you turn to music just for some escapism or
I
some
did
sort
actually.
of serenity.
I don't know. Yeah, escapism. I guess that's kind of the right word. Yeah, no, for sure. And expression too. I mean, I write my own music and lyrics, so
Right.
that's
Oh,
part
great.
of it as well, is expressing that. But yeah, just focusing in on the sound and when you play guitar, it's not just. One teacher taught me it's not just about how the guitar sounds. How does it resonate on your chest? How does the vibrations of the string feel in your fingers? Because bone actually conducts sound better than air does. So you start to feel the music. And so when I started concentrating on not just listening, but feeling it as well and how it makes me feel, and that was a big help, I think. Because you could, you can choose a song. It's easy to choose a song that suits your mood, and you might choose a sad song if you're feeling sad, but sometimes you just choose a happy song because you're feeling sad, and it brings you up. It lifts you up. The feeling of that song helps. Yeah, it helps you.
It does. Like
Both can
if you
be
need
cathartic.
to, listen to some good music in the morning. It can just put you in the right energy and just keep your motivation up. And
Yeah.
I often listen to a little bit of. I mean, I do a lot of audio editing, but in between that, just some lo-fi study, chill, whatever they call it. I just find like a mix of that and like some similar to what I've got playing in the background, but maybe a little bit more ambient.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think
I'm a
it does actually work because I just get annoyed by other people's voices if I'm in the office. So I'd rather just have headphones on, and that's a little bit antisocial, but it's just I'd rather be productive. And then when I'm ready to chat with people, like we'll have a good chat and that. But and then I've just got to go back and focus. So I'll be
totally.
back.
Sometimes it's better to listen to music rather than listen to the negative voice in your head. Sometimes it's that.
Yeah, and you got to fight those voices.
Drown them out.
Yeah, tune them out. And did you happen to have a guitar standing by?
Me? You're talking to me still?
Yeah.
Oh, there's all sorts around here. Yeah.
Did you want to share a little tune before we sign off?
I'm not really prepared for that. Maybe I could. Maybe
guess what?
without singing.
You don't have to sing. But last year, because this show really inspired me, so I wrote this little song one Saturday afternoon. I mean, that's a bit of a stretch to call it a song. It's more like a little melody with a couple of variations. And, I played it on air, very basic to me. But I said, oh, no, I'm not ready. And then they said, well, Sophia at the time said, well, I don't know what she said, something really inspiring. So I just started playing it. I just got it out of the way, and I felt really good after doing it. So yeah, I'll shut up. Go and check on Bevan. You bring up your guitar. Go.
All right then. I live now? I thought I was just practicing.
Yeah. You've been live for the last 2 minutes.
Oh, just doodling around. Okay.
So keep going. Oh, good. Hey, well done.
Thanks.
Yeah, very good. Is that an original?
Yeah, that's a little section of an original.
Yeah. Did you self-taught?
Mostly, yeah.
Did
Mostly.
any of your relatives, did they teach you anything?
No. It's interesting. It's like I didn't even touch a guitar until I left home when I was 17, 18 nearly. And my buddies they just taught me a few songs. And yeah, I just sort of messed around with the guitar for ages. And then for years, I was told I was tone deaf. And then 2 years ago, I was like, someone said to me, "You can tune a guitar by ear. You must be able to sing." I was like, "Well," and then I was like, I had money. I was like, I go to a singing teacher and see what's going on. So I went to the singing teacher, and she's like, "You're not tone deaf. You just haven't been taught how to sing." I was like, "Ah, okay." So she just taught me, which part of the reason for going to singing lessons actually was because I was podcasting and I wanted to sort of have a better voice for podcasting as well.
Yeah. It's good to have that projection. My voice sort of comes and goes. I've had times when, just going back to like trauma or sadness where I've gone a little bit mute actually. Like it's really freaky and you do lose your voice when you get excited about life again and your voice comes back and you start singing along to your favorite tunes and you're like, oh wow, I'm alive again. And it just gives you're like, there's something coming out of your heart. So yeah, good on you for taking lessons. Yeah.
It also, it's to be honest, it scares the shit out of me. Like,
and it also brings out emotions when you singing can actually bring out some deep emotion as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, when I did a lot of it in LA when I was there was some other stuff going on before that. Some even just as bad trauma went on before the trauma we already spoke about, and singing was all I had. I happened to be living in a beautiful home in Malibu with a PA system, so I could really, just go for it. And I know a lot about neurology and the human body as well. So, and even in Buddhism, the chanting, right? Chanting, what it does is it stimulates your voice box, which stimulates the vagus nerve, which is actually very calming. So if you sing with good technique, it's actually very, very calming on the nervous system. And there's just a point where I just didn't care what I sounded like. I just did it because it made me feel good.
Yeah. We had this exercise we had to do in performing arts years ago where they said it doesn't matter how your voice sounds, what sound you make, you just have to let out all these sounds for like 2 minutes. Yeah, so it was really freaky, but he was just like, it's like kind of shocked. So Simon Ferry, excellent tutor from
Shout out to Sai. All
yeah.
right. And also, living in Malibu and living in LA, I was blessed enough to meet a lot of quite famous people and talking with them. And it's like you don't realize that someone I'm not going to name any names, but someone who you might think of as an amazing singer and they're like, they're talented or they're gifted. No. Yeah. They work their ass off all day, every day for that performance that you saw. And even the hour before they performed, they were backstage running scales and making sure
Yeah.
their voice was
Yeah.
good or whatever. And it's just even there's a famous band I saw. I remember the singer. I remember seeing the singer because I was at the front. The singer, he had an app, and he was like using the pitch app just to he was just making sure he was singing in the right key before he started like going on stage. So I think that's a big misconception of what people don't realize is that there's not that many people, if any, who are just perfect pitch talented singers or gifted athletes that can just go and do it whenever. Most people that got there through just a lot of dedication, hard work, and help. And
Well, everyone has an off day, even singers. Yeah, definitely. It's
oh yeah, YouTube. Look up Chris Cornell on YouTube. There's plenty of concerts where he's singing flat.
right. Hey,
Yeah.
do you know Daniel Bedingfield? He's over there. Oh, he's still living around LA, I think. So he's a great singer.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah. I think he's an excellent singer. But he maybe wasn't as what do you call it, mainstream popular as his sister. But I just think, he had excellent voice, and he rocked out at a local Auckland bar one night, and just did a cappella, just blew everyone away. It's just like real showman. Yeah, it's great. Great to see.
Pressure makes diamonds.
Yeah. And someone said the other night on the show, our Friday night host Michelle, she said, we've got the saying at Immersive, are you comfortable being uncomfortable, or something like that. So, and it's sort of like, no, I don't like being uncomfortable. Of course not. But that means you must be growing, right? Going through everything you've been through. Do you feel like a different person in a way?
Totally. Yeah. That's. I can't remember when or where it started, but I just started to. I just wanted to do things that were really hard and that I was bad at. And surfing was one of those things. I was terrible at surfing. And
because surfing is quite, risky. There's rips, and you have to keep quite fit, and you have to be able to swim, and you also, there's the risk of bumping into a shark. So and it's kind of aggressive. Sometimes the vibes out there can be quite aggressive, would you say?
Oh yeah, I was never. Yeah, definitely. All that's true, but I was never scared of any of that. It was more, I was scared of looking bad or not.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Or not being good enough, or I don't know. It's almost maybe singing's like a better thing. It's like going to a karaoke bar and singing is so like I couldn't think of anything worse. That's exactly why I did it. That's because I think that when you do the thing that you fear most, and you go out and do it, and it's not that bad, it gives you confidence to do anything else.
Yeah, and then you keep going, right? You're just going to try something else, and you always wonder, what the hell do they mean by feel the fear and do it anyway? Or the other one, do something that scares you every day. Like,
Yeah,
maybe
wow.
I wasn't really living before.
There's a lot of truth in that. Sometimes it's also, I think that, those feelings of anxiety. I can't remember who said if you just relabel them, it's just sometimes I get so anxious and scared, and I just like, you know what? It's just energy. Just call it energy, creative energy if you want.
Yes.
But even, when I was my nickname at school was Silent Mike. I would never have anything to say. I would be scared to talk. And then when I became a personal trainer, because I really enjoyed the physical body and sort of get out of your head and into your body, and then I was never a good enough athlete to be a pro athlete. So what do? You teach, I'll get a personal training qualification and I'll teach others how to exercise. And then you quickly realize, well, in order to be a successful personal trainer, you have to be able to talk, not just talk to people well, but approach them cold. And I literally remember when I first went to London and had to go into a gym and just walk up to people and talk to them. I remember my face would go bright red. I would be sweating. I'd be almost crying, and I would just stand there and look them in the eye and just keep talking, and just literally fight the physical anxiety that my body was just, my heart was racing. I don't even
Yeah.
know whether they noticed, but
Probably not. But yeah.
it took me years before that stopped.
Right.
And now I feel like I can I've emceed weddings. I just, it doesn't bother me anymore.
Oh, wow. Well, that's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I
Right.
guess it is. There's an element of fun about it. Yeah.
Yeah. My sister used to photograph weddings. Yeah. I always wanted to know what it would be like to DJ a wedding. Yeah.
That'd be fun for the first 2 or 3 times, I imagine.
Yeah. I just those drunk bridesmaids. I don't know, and they'll
Asking
be
for requests.
requesting some shit. It's like, nah, you listen to it. Yeah, but anyway, I mean, I love a lot of pop music, but yeah, I'm quite picky, I guess, in a way. But yeah, music's definitely helped you, obviously.
Mm.
And any of your children musical? We have to sign off soon. But
They are actually. Yeah. They were, when we were in Malibu, they were all I was getting drum lessons and they were too. And did a little bit of piano as well, but they're always singing. They're great singers.
wow, that's good.
So there's always music in the house and dancing and singing and a little bit of drums. The trauma, they've slowly, as they're recovering from the trauma and stuff, they're getting back into music now. So, and their mother was actually she was a concert level pianist she even won a songwriting award when she was 14. So I think they got their natural music talent from her. But I think they see my tenacity. In order for me to maintain to hold a drum beat, I have to, practice to a click track every day. And it never came natural for me, but I keep at it. So
Yeah, I still have bongos. Those are fun. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I think it's important that they learn all aspects, rhythm, harmony, and melody. It's important that they learn a little bit of each. So that's why we sort of got, and kids naturally want to smash the drums. So, kind of teach them.
So they like the pots, the wooden spoons in the pots. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've got an acoustic drum kit and an electric drum kit here in the house. So
cool.
They
it's
can
like
go
music
nuts.
therapy. Music therapy.
Well,
art
that's
therapy.
a huge. Music therapy is a big, especially in America.
Right.
Music therapy is very big and very successful, and it's becoming more and more accepted as a therapy.
It should be.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Well, anything else you want to share before we sign off? This was supposed to be a half-hour show. Bevan's going to come back another time. We're going to sort out that audio problem.
All right, it's 10 o'clock already. Time flies. Just thank you. Thanks for having me on, and thanks for listening. And yeah, that was great.
Yeah, well, every guest helps build this show and builds the community. Really grateful. Is anyone you want to dedicate this show to?
Do you know what? Strange. I'm going to dedicate it to Van Neistat. Strangely, just because I was editing. So I interviewed him a few weeks ago, and he's very inspirational to me. And I edited the podcast of his today, and his YouTube channel has taught me a lot.
Van
Neistat.
Okay.
Niestat. He's an artist. He worked with a very famous artist called Tom Sachs, and now he's producing his own art. And in my opinion, he is uplifting the medium of YouTube videos.
Great.
He's got a really cool YouTube channel that I find very entertaining, but also very philosophical and inspiring, and it's very cool.
Oh wow, it sounds very innovative, and he's a bit of a writer as well.
Well, yeah, he puts out 1 or 2 10-minute videos a week, and that's a full-time job for him. He spends 3 days writing them. but that's his medium at the moment, is YouTube videos. Yeah, because
definitely
some
check
of
it out.
some of his videos really helped me on my journey, and also I have to shout out to A Perfect Circle, just because their album Eat the Elephant has been a big part of my healing journey as well.
Brilliant.
Oh,
Well,
and to my sister, thanks sis.
thanks, sis.
For,
Oh, that's so lovely. Well, thank you so much for your time. We're going to publish this tomorrow, and I'm going to, put your podcast link and maybe Van's YouTube channel and the links to see
Yeah.
that you recommended him, and that's how people get found, by recommend each other. So share the inspiration, share the joy.
Indeed.
Okay, cool, Michael. See you
All right,
soon.
thank you. Thanks.
Oh wow, what a show! We went for 1 hour and 2 minutes. Thank you to Bevan for joining. He's going to join another time soon because we had that audio issue. Don't worry about that. Finn for Wellington, thank you so much for your time, Finn. And often you give a lot in the comments on various shows as well. And yes, if you want to, that's a Latina, beautiful name. If you want to check out talkback.nz and buymeacoffee.com/talkbacknz if you want to support this show. Otherwise, we will see you tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow. We have Francesca Alexandra from Social Global Grind. She's a bundle of fun, and she'll be here tomorrow night. Thane Kirby back Wednesday night with Bomber Bradbury. So, thank you for your time, everyone, and bid you a fine farewell. Bye.